All right, guys, so we went through the sandbox and we saw all the different classes and everything that Tailwind offers. Now I want to take that and start to build projects with it. And we have a few website and landing page projects, but before we get to those, I'd like to do some smaller stuff. So what I've done is I've created these 5 mini projects that we're going to use. And this is the repo for everything. It's the Tailwind course projects. It's private right now, but it'll be public by the time the course is published. And you can see that we have the mini projects. That's what we're going to do right now. And then we also have website projects. Those are the bigger ones we'll do in a little bit. And then I also have the Tailwind, the simple Tailwind starter and the Webpack Tailwind starter. And then also the assets. So whenever you need images for any of the projects, that's where you can get them. So I would recommend that you either clone this or you simply download it. You can just download the zip here and let's open that up. Okay, so if you open it up, you'll get these folders and you'll have all the assets here. For instance, the email subscribe, that's the first one we're going to do. That just has a single image, but this is where you'll find all the images for all the projects. Now, as far as how you want to do this, if you want to use the CDN, that's absolutely fine. I'm going to use the CDN for the mini projects, and then when we do the website ones, I'm going to switch over to the simple Tailwind starter that we used. But if you want to use the Tailwind starter for these, you can as well. Okay, so let's take a look at them. So the first one is email subscribe, basically just a box with an input here. Now, obviously, there's no back-end functionality. That's not what this course is about. This is about building, front-end user interfaces and websites. So we have a form here, we have an image, and everything is going to be responsive. So you'll see if I shrink the screen, then it goes into a vertical layout. Okay, so that's going to be the first one, very easy. And then the next one is going to be these pricing cards, which you often see with hosting companies and SaaSes, things like that. So the middle one is, a little bit more prominent, has the border, has the purple button. We have some hover effects and some transitions. Then the third one is going to be this product modal. So we have this image, we have this button with an effect. We have a little animation effect if we hover over this, the stock. And then the 2 buttons down here, we have some shadow going on. And then this one, the image gallery, where we'll have this navigation at the top. We have a search box, upload button, and then these images will create this little hover effect here so we can show the title and stuff like that. And then finally, we have the login modal. Now, it's not a modal that you can actually close. If you want to add the JavaScript, you can, that's fine. But this is more about creating the look, which I think looks very clean. We have the image on the side, the box, Google and Facebook icons down here. And if you ever want to use any of these, you can. In fact, I want to give a quick shout out to UIDesignDaily.com, which is a website that has tons of design components like this. And that's where we got the inspiration for these. Now, the site is down at the moment. I think she's moving hosting or something, but if it is up by the time you guys watch this, UIDesignDaily.com, it's all free, just tons and tons of free design components to use for inspiration or to, build with certain frameworks or whatever you want to do with them. All right, so that's it. Let's go ahead and get started on the first project. All right, guys, so we're going to start on the first project, the email subscribe card. And this is the repo here, and it might look a little different when you watch it. I'll probably have a README here and stuff. But the first thing we're going to do is create a new folder, and I'm just going to call this Tailwind-projects. And then in here, let's create a new folder, and we'll call this one email-subscribe. Okay, and I'm just going to open this up with VS Code. Actually, you know what? I'm going to open up the entire Tailwind projects folder with VS Code. All right, so now inside that email subscribe, let's create our index.html. And then we do have an image that we need. So in the Tailwind course projects repo, you have this assets folder and then email subscribe. And I'm just going to bring this images folder over here. Okay, and I think there's just one image here, which is that plant image, or not plant, but green beans, whatever the hell that is. So here, let's go ahead and add a boilerplate, and then we're gonna add the CDN here. Again, if you want to use the Tailwind starter, that's fine, but I'm gonna add the CDN with a script tag. So HTTPS, and it's going to be cdn.tailwindcss.com. And let's just change the title here to email subscribe. Okay, and we'll say hello, save it, and I'm going to be using live server, so I'll just click on go live, and that opened on the wrong browser. So let me just open this, put this in here, and let's make that smaller. All right, so if we look at the project, just to kind of look at what we're going to be doing, we have a dark background, and then we have a centered card. So we'll just use Flexbox to center it into the middle. And then the card is going to have, a dark background, rounded corners, and then inside there we have a flex container with an image as the first item, and then all this text right here will be the second item, and they're going to be in a row. Okay, so they're horizontal. But to start with, on medium screens, they're going to be in a column, so they're going to be one on top of each other, stacked. So let's keep that in mind, and let's get started. So for the background, and to center everything, we'll have, I guess we could call this the background container. So let's do a class of flex. Now to center, we can do items-center, and we can do justify-center. So that'll center on both the horizontal and the vertical axis. And we'll just put hello in there for now. Now, the reason it's centered this way but not vertically is because there's no height to this. So what we'll do is add a height of the full screen. So h-screen, if I do that, now it puts it directly in the middle. So this will be wrapped around pretty much, I think, all 5 of our projects, because they're just simple things in the middle of the page. With the exception of the image gallery, we might do something different. All right, now as for the background, since this takes up the whole screen, we can do BG, and we're going to use Zinc-700. So that will give us that dark background. So next we want to add the card. So we'll have a div with the class of, let's do the color, which will be BG Zinc-800. So it's darker than the background. Padding, we'll do P2 all around, which is going to be 0.5 rem. And then we'll do margin on the x-axis 6, and let's make rounded corners, so we'll say rounded-2XL. And I'll just put hello for now, and you can see now we have that card background. All right, I'll just put a comment here, we'll just say card. So inside here we want to have our, let's say, flex container, because we need to have the image and then the content. Those are going to be our flex items. So once again, we're going to use flex here, and we want it to be a column to begin with. So remember, mobile first. So it'll be flex call, meaning that the image and the content will be on top of each other. But then once we hit medium screens, so .md:, then we want to do a flex row, okay, because we want it to be responsive. And then we're going to do rounded edges on the left of this div. So let's do rounded-L-XL. Okay, because if I show you let's see, let me just bring this over. So you can see that the image actually has the rounded corners on the left, but not on the right. All right, so that's that. And then for the image, so let's say the 2 things we want in here are going to be the image and the content or the text. So for the image, let's say image, the source is going to be images/image. So if I save that as is, it's going to look like that. Now, there's going to be some different classes on medium screens. So let's just go mobile first. We'll start with the regular classes. So let's say class, and we're going to use object-fit, and I'm just going to put these on their own line just to kind of clean this up. So we'll put class down here. So object-fit, we're going to do rounded-XL on all sides on small screens. Oh shoot, you know what? I can't format it like that because I forgot I have prettier enabled. So it's just going to make it like this again. But we'll work with it. So as far as the height goes, let's do height 80. We'll do that. And then let's do, trying to think of what I want to do next. Because we do have a transition for when we hover over it. But let's do the responsiveness first. Because when we're on larger screens, we want it to be not as high. So let's do, for instance, medium, we'll do height dash 64. So now if I save that and we stretch this out, it gets smaller. We also only want the rounded corners on the left on medium screens and up. So let's say MD, and we'll say rounded dash L dash XL. All right, so if we do that, now we have to take the rounded off of the right, because we have it all the way around here, and then this is saying, well, yeah, put it on the left, but what about the right now? So we'll have to do medium and then say rounded dash right dash none. So now if I stretch this out, now we don't have it on the right. Okay, now for the hover effect, we're going to do a scale. Remember, we're going to do a transform scale. So let's say transform, and let's do on hover. So on hover, we're going to do scale. Let's do dash. We'll do dash 105, which should bring it down, I believe. And then let's also say on hover, we want to use rounded dash XL. Okay, so if I hover over this, I'm sorry, it doesn't scale down, it scales up. Yeah, so anything above 100 is up. If you go under 100, that's down. All right, cool. So I want that to have a little bit of a duration, so we'll go ahead and just add duration. Let's do 200. So it gets a nice smooth hover or smooth scaling. And that should do it for the image. Now for the content, let's go ahead and have a div here. We'll do padding 6, and on medium screens, then I want to do bigger padding. I'm going to do padding 12. All right, so that'll kind of move the image up a little bit. And then the first thing in here is going to be an H2. I'm going to use font dash serif. Remember our font stacks. And then let's do text dash extra large. For the font weight, we'll do medium.